Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It's December 6th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And what looked like was going to be a range day early on. I was here early this morning, but had to leave earlier than normal. So if you follow our mid-morning charts, you noticed that I put it up a lot earlier than normal, and we didn't have a lot of price action at that point. It looked like we were going to be stuck in this range, but we did end up breaking through like we were going to get back, and we really struggled here. We couldn't go higher, but it was struggling to go lower, and we finally pushed down, and then we bounced back. And we really what we ended up with was a trend down and a trend up. We really struggled. There was some strong support along this. I think this is 2652 or so right in here. We really struggled right along there to go lower. Notice we couldn't go higher, but we were really struggling to get through there. We pushed through there pretty good early on, but we got back above that and we're really struggling. We just went in a little trading range here, and there were some early. I want to say there was a 9:30 news item today or something like that, and then of course we got another one 5:45, but nobody should be trading during that period anyway. So there were a couple of news items today to be aware of. And I think one of them was right in this area, right around 9:30, and that may be why the market went flat right there, just kind of waiting to see. But you see this two-tier channel working lower. It was definitely in play down through here, and then we've got a shorter term channel. When I back out, you'll see it here. And then we bounced and had a real tight channel. You would think we would try to go lower in here, but we don't. We just keep working higher. And really, what prices were doing, if you look at a daily chart, there's going to be a gap from where we closed yesterday to where we opened um, at. Actually, I take that back because yeah, well, on the daily chart, that's correct. We closed here yesterday on the daily chart, and we opened right here. So there's a big gap right there. So prices generally will try to fill that pretty quickly. So that's probably what most of this rallying was. Prices were trying to fill that gap between that would only be on the daily chart. You won't see it on this chart because we're trading during the after hours, but the daily chart will close right here and open where the white line is, where the white starts. And that's why I have that set up like that. It shows you where the regular session opens. And so if you look, we close there and then we open here where there's empty space in there on that chart. And generally they will try to fill that gap. And so, but anyway, let's back out, talk about the trades and wrap this week up. This is it. No chart lessons on Friday, so this will wrap our week up. A lot of trades today. A lot of trades. It started out looking like it was going to be a little slow, but there's a lot of opportunity in here today. And we'll back out enough where we can see it fairly well, and we'll go from there. But early on, what you probably should have done was measured this first leg. Actually, I take that back. You should measure from where that gap started. And so that would have been my measured move down right there. Let's just back out and see where we got on that. And you can see that is about where we got. We got a little lower than that if I put a line across there. We went just a tad lower than that. And so that would have been a great target for you early on. I also would have measured this channel once we started going lower, just in case this works out. We didn't quite get that. But you can see here this target would have given you a nice target. You can see that line across there. And I mean, that's almost it went about a few, it went, looks like maybe a point lower than that. But that would have been a great target for you. So always look for those measured moves. Let's back out again. I'm sorry. It's just a lot of volume in here, so you got to really back up to see everything. I can remember when it wasn't long, you could get the whole day in one screen about this size. You can't do that right now, not by a long stretch. So, but that's a good thing. I like the extra volatility personally. But anyway, at 7 o'clock, we were coming right up through here, really kind of going sideways. This one is real close to being blue. We're working higher, but we did have a break, and we don't have a new high in place. And we tried to go lower once, twice, and it failed. And there's also a new high here. So first entry, then it pulls back second entry. That's the second entry long, a failed second entry short. There's a little bit of a trap there. Fairly bullish bar, so you might go long right there. And the key, I would say, was if you had enough room to get out before you got to that little double top there. And I'm not sure if there's enough room there or not. But there is a trap there, and usually those traps will push you on through. So I'll mark that one at least green. And that's just right after that's just barely after 7 o'clock hour. And then, of course, we push up to a new high. Then we come back, we make a lower high right here. Notice that high, first entry, second entry. So technically you can count that as one as well. So there's going to be another one down here, which would have been right here, but I don't think I would have taken that trade. Anyway, let's back up to this one. It's a lower high. Look how we push right through the EMA. We pull back. Fairly bearish bar. I like going short there. And then I wasn't sure if this was the trend line. At this point, it looks like it. If you drew it down, and there's a shorter term one down through here as well that you can see. But really what this does, it spikes down. You get a little spiking channel. And we just continue to work. But you could look at it you really come to the same conclusion even if you draw it this way or the spiking channel, or if you draw it both. You should always draw it both if you see it there. But you can see this trend line coming into play. Then we get a little close outside. That's not a convincing close though. And this could actually be higher here. So it's probably more like that. So you don't know for sure you get a close outside there. So I'd continue to play this trend line the rest of the way down, especially till you got to these lows, as long as you had room. But you're working on down, and really what you have is you have a little sideways. You start kind of going sideways right there. It's a little trading range. This is a breakout pullback, but the main thing is notice the double top. So that's like a new high. And then first entry, pullback, second entry. So that's a failed second entry long on a breakout pullback short. And so I like going short there. And then of course you come down here and it finally breaks through and fails. And that's a long way away from the EMA, but generally you want to wait on the higher low, but we don't get one till way up here. So this is another one that you could say, hey, I may want to take that, because those generally will be important lows. And you can see, even though this didn't continue to it still played within the bigger channel, that's a long way from here to here. And if you can just get one, and you would have had a runner here. So if you catch that one trade at 8:30 and you just wait till it closes, first bar closes outside and exit, you're looking at, I'm curious now what it would have been. You would have entered right in here somewhere, let's just say 26.50, and exited even at 26.60, which is way back down here. I mean, that's 10 points. So you could have got 11, 12 points out of that easy on a runner. I mean, sure thing almost. So that's why I like those trades. They're a little bit aggressive, but if you're reading it right, which there's a lot of support around there, and look how far we are away from that EMA. We're coming off the lower side of the channel. Again, you're always better to wait on the higher low, but we don't get a higher low till here, and I'm not going to enter up there. You're not back to the EMA, and even here you don't come back, but it does bounce right at the trend line. It is a failed second entry short, so I like that one. You're starting to get away from the EMA. But if this hadn't have been looking like a range at that point, I probably would have said, you better wait if this looked like a downtrend. But it was looking a lot like a range. But you can see there was the possibility of the downtrend. We just hadn't confirmed it yet at that point. We do run on up. And you're just too far away from the EMA up here. I'm not going to enter these. And then, of course, you do finally confirm that trend line right there. I backed out just so you can see it. I drew it off those first two, and notice how it comes right back to it right there. That's the first confirmation of it. And really, this bar makes a little tick higher the way I set the only reason I marked this one is because it's so far away from the EMA, and you do have your break and a couple of legs up, and it does turn down right off that. This bar is too bullish, but you could have waited on this one and went short below it, and then put your stop one tick above that one. I'm okay with that. And of course it runs down, and we just kind of go sideways here, but it comes back again and verifies that trend line one more time, and now you got a big bearish bar. Just go short right there. That's basically a higher low than here, and then it makes a true higher low off of that high and another big bearish bar. I like going short right there, and off it goes. And there's actually a failed second entry long right there, but you just came off the low side and you're not back to this side. That's pretty risky. There's one more that comes back here that we're not quite back to the lows again, which is where you figure we might be heading. Or we may be looking for that measured move down still as well. So you might take that trade right there. I'll give that one green. Turns out to be a nice move. I don't think I'd take that one because there's not much room there now. And then now you've just been too far away from the EMA for too long. We finally overshoot the channel and we start reversing. I wouldn't be looking for any longs yet. We want to make sure we got something and draw this trend line off the lows. Finally comes back to confirm it here, and notice there's a high. You're moving down first entry, moving down second entry, plus this is a little range, a little failed break lower. So that's a second entry long, and it's right off the possible trend line. It kind of confirms it. So, and you're a little bit away from the EMA too, so you got room to snap back. I like that one. And then you notice you turn down right off the highs, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, another bullish bar, higher low again. You're making higher highs and higher lows. It looks like an uptrend now. I like going along there. There's a higher low right there, right off the EMA, and heads back to the top. We come back here and you get a first entry right there, and then we just kind of you drop down. This one is close to being blue because by that time you're getting some pretty good, but this is not consistent. Notice how this is lower, this is a higher low, this is a higher low, and then this is a lower low, and you can see that resistance or support across there. And it probably would have been more like this at the time. I ended up dropping it down to these lows a little bit later, and then this didn't match up. But you could still argue that's a first test, second test, but look how bullish that bar is. It actually went lower and turns and goes back up. So you may take that trade. It's not ideal, but it's not a, it's if this is definitely going sideways here, which it looks like it is, you could take that trade. And of course, we turn down right off the top. But this has been an uptrend. This is the first close outside, and we still don't have a new high yet. So I would wait. I wouldn't get too eager. There is a second entry there. I wouldn't get too eager to enter short yet. We make a lower high here, but not a very good signal bar. And then finally, we make another lower high right here, and you get a big bearish bar, and it's right off that trend line. So I like going short there. You get another lower high right here, same thing, big bearish bar. These are really big bars. This one, you'd probably want to be concerned about making sure you had enough room to get out before you get back down to these lows. It works here, but if depending on how big that's a really big bar, and depending on how much room you've got in there, you need to be aware of that. I think there's 6 ticks in there, but I didn't count it specifically. So that would be the key, because your bar could be a little bit different. It could be a couple of ticks more, a couple of ticks less than mine. So just make sure the key would be if entering with a stop, sell stop 1 tick below this bar, you got to have enough room to scalp out with a limit order before you get to that low. That's the key to it. This was the better trade. I actually like the first one. This one I still like it if you got the room, but your better one's right here. Notice what happens. You finally push through, so you know you're getting through that support, and then you can push up first entry, push back up second entry, big bearish bar. That's the place to go low. And look what happens. It bounces there again. Not a good enough signal bar, but you can see this trend line still working lower. That one's tempting right there, but I'd wait on. I like this one better. After we push through, now we've got a lower high, and again, since this one bounced here, you might be a little bit concerned with this one, but we did push through right here, and we're making lower highs each time, and that's a trap, so we're probably going to push on through there. But this one, and it is right off that key entry point. Otherwise, I probably would not mark that one. And still, you got to be concerned about that one, just like you had to be concerned about this one right here. So here's the better trade. Notice that we kind of push on down below, pull up, and you get a first entry right there. You go back higher, and when it breaks below that bar, you get a second entry right off that trend line, that little short-term trend line. Very bearish bar. Second entry short. It's a pullback, breakout pullback to test this breakout area, which is really what you want to see when you start to looking short from underneath the support area. We work down, then we're just working sideways here, and what we're doing is we're just working back over to this trend line, and you finally get a chance to go short off of it. Big bearish bar, I like that one. And then you get a failed second entry long again right off that trend line. Just go short right there. And this was when I'd be looking for that measured move that we talked about, and I would also be looking if this to make a new low from what we originally, but we've already done that. That new low is already in, so, and we're continuing to go lower. So I would be looking for that measured move at this point. Then we come back to the key entry point again. This has been a very good key, and it's all right with the EMA. That's a perfect angle for the trend, everything. Generally, I would prefer the second entry, but I'm going to take that one. This has been very bearish, and it's right off that key entry point. It actually broke higher first, too. Here's your lower high in case you wanted to be a little more conservative. Go short there. There's actually a failed second entry long here, but we're right into this midline right here, and generally, and we bounced off of it last time right there, so, and we bounced off of it again already, so we're kind of going into a little triangle like where it's squeezing the prices up, and I'm not crazy about that one. We did get through, but you see how it bounced pretty quick. And again, we've had a strong downtrend, and so this is the first break of this channel coming down, this shorter term on this trend line right here. That's the first close outside, so I'm going to be very leery about going long. I'm going to make sure I see something I really believe in, and then finally you can tell we're pushing higher, and you get a second entry long right here. Let me explain this one. It's a little bit sideways. It's like a little drop too, but this is a double top, so that's basically a new high. Pull back first entry, and then you pull back, and so it would have been a second entry long if you're counting that as a double top. But the main thing is it's a bullish bar right off the key entry point. A little better entries here, you get a higher low, again right off the key entry point. Notice how it turns down, but makes a much higher low. And then you're too close, you know, you've been away from the, you're not back to the trend line, you've been away from the EMA here, you're very close up here. This is really just congestion. I'm probably not going to take that one. Then we move up here, we get an overshoot. You remember when you get an overshoot, a lot of times you're going to get a break soon thereafter. Notice we get a break, but again, it doesn't correct down, it just goes sideways. And we're just kind of meandering around. None of these shorts give you enough room to get out, and none of these longs really set up well either until right here you get a higher low with enough room to get out. So I like that one. And then there's a second entry long right there, right off the key entry point, but it's just not a very good signal bar, and there's a lot of overlap and dojis and things. It takes off nicely, but it doesn't set up very well. Then it does the same thing. It comes back when it breaks above right here. It's a second entry long. Notice that high, first entry, come back second entry. But you're stacking up again there. You got it. You got at least one doji. That's a perfect doji right there. So that that kind of scares me away. There is a higher low here. So this one, and you really could count that as a second entry because this is basically a double top. This is actually even slightly higher. So a first entry, then a pullback second entry, and somehow I didn't get that one marked. But that'd be a nice setup right there. And I just failed to miss that one to mark it. And then you get a failed second entry short right there, right off the EMA with another bullish bar. Now you got to break 2 legs up and it just reverses. But I don't see a really good setup anywhere in here to enter until right here. Notice you make a low, first entry, second entry. So it's a second entry short, a little bit of congestion with a little failed break higher. I like that one. And then you get another relatively bearish bar right here, but you've already had a break and a new low, and I think you're better off just to skip that one. And of course it comes down here and bounces, and what I did was I just drew the trend line off of this. It bounces and you actually get a perfect failed second entry short. Notice that low first entry, it pushes through the EMA, pulls back second entry, it fails. So I like going long there because this is played out. So I like this one, and it comes back right here and confirms that trend line again with a nice bullish bar. It gives you another chance. And you can tell this is a key entry point working up. Look how prices keep bouncing off of it. And there's another little bar that comes back right here. There's actually one here, but we've already moved a good bit right here. So this is a little bit of a correction. So even though it doesn't break lower, it's still correcting some here. If this was closer to the EMA, I'd probably tell you I like that one, but it's starting to get a little ways away, and then this is definitely too far away. And then we turn down off if you drew this trend line and drug it to the top, actually, I just kept dragging it to the top of this, so you really didn't know you were up here at this trend channel line yet. If you drew it there and then put your midline in, you would see that your midline fits. Well, actually, you really didn't have enough information to know this was the upper trend channel line, but you still got a failed second entry long, and you still got plenty of room before you get back to that EMA. And look how long we've been away. With that trout right there and that failed second entry, I'm going to take that back to the trend line. And of course, we're working down, and you come back to the trend line again here. It should be over a little bit. And notice how it closes right inside too. I like going short right there. That turns out to be a pretty nice move. You get another bar here. That's too bullish, and then this is just too big. It's already made a new low. And I marked this lavender. It's really hard to know what's going on here. First, this looks like a break, and there is a second entry, but you don't want to go short. Look at those signal bars. They're horrible. And you get a lower high, again, a terrible signal bar. And then you may say, hey, well, this is a failed second entry long. But again, your signal bars are not very good. And you're just, by this time, I'd just stay out of that. Even though that failed second entry long would have taken you lower all the way back down to the trend line, it's just hard to know you're going to go lower right there. You may say, well, hey, I had enough room to get out before here. So that's a possibility. But I just think this is no man's land where you just stay. Look how flat that EMA is. Just stay out of that. And of course, when it bounces off this trend line down here with this bullish bar being that far away from the EMA and this thing's holding again, you may take that, because if you're right and we're headed back to the upper side again, you got a long way to go, another 10 or 12 points up there if it goes straight up almost. So of course it does, it takes off, and you never really get another chance. There's a failed second entry short right there, so that's one that you could take. It's right at the 2 o'clock hour. I wouldn't have a problem with that one. Even though it's right after 2 o'clock, it's right there at it, and it is a nice setup. But notice you're moving up, first entry, second entry, and a nice bullish bar. And so you got to figure we're headed back up here. And that got us into the 2 o'clock hour. So that's a lot of trades. That's, I went through those pretty quick, and we still got 25 minutes worth here. So if I back way out again, you can see it. There's a lot of trades there, a lot of volume. This has just been one crazy market. It really has been. And anyway, just remember, when you get in these little areas like here and here, I didn't mark this one, or even here, There were actually some pretty good trades here, but that's only because you had the trend line working down that had gotten confirmed back here, and it's still confirming it down through here. And notice that we did get a convincing close or two outside here before we made this new low, and then we got another little spike and two-tiered channel up. So it was an interesting day. So just the price action has been, somebody asked me, is it always like this the other day? And I get that question a lot lately because there's always new people coming in, and this is not normal. It's been this way for probably since it started mid-August, I think. Mid-August, late August, somewhere in that area. Sometime in August this started up, and over the summer it was just almost dead. And I kept, I told people then, I said, just when you think this market's done, it'll pick up, and usually it's in the fall, right when school's starting back. That's kind of when a lot of traders come back and the market gets serious again. And we've been rolling ever since with some crazy volatility, lots of volume. And I mean, there's other reasons besides the time of year, but this is the time of year when the market tends to pick up. And it'll get slow again, and it runs in cycles. So no, this is not necessarily normal, all this volume and volatility with prices switching gears and going in different directions. So, but you got to learn to trade it because you'll get periods when it does this. And just by the time you get used to this, and it'll slow down, it'll feel like it's moving at a snail's pace. But the better you get reading it fast, the better you'll be able to trade it when it's slow because you got much more time to evaluate it. So your problem then is that you may tend to get a little bit impatient, and that's one thing you can't be in trading. You got to have patience. You got to be able to sit for sometimes an hour or two when there's no trade set up. And that's hard to do for some people, but you have to condition yourself to be able to do that. So, but anyway, I'm just kind of beating around the bush here. I'm not going to drag it out. I'm going to wrap this week up. We'll be back again to do it Monday, but let me just open up the calendar here. Christmas falls on this week. I will probably take off the last 2 weeks of the year. So we'll probably trade all next week. And I may even trade Monday or Tuesday of the following week, but I may even take I may just start off, next Friday may be my last trading day for the year on the 14th. And I may take the rest of it off, but I may come in and trade a day or two here and take off on the 18th or 19th. I haven't made up my mind yet, but just something for you to be thinking about. I'll close up shop for the year. I won't probably answer emails for trading questions and things like that, but if you've got something that's critical, I'll check my mail once a day or so. But just be prepared for that coming up. The holidays, I usually take that last week or two off, and I'll probably do the same thing this year. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for today. We'll be back again Monday. Hope you had a great week. Hope you had a good trading day today, but I'm done. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.